Welcome to Timeless Chronicles, 16 bold women in history who seduced their way to power. Agrippina seduced her uncle into marriage. As a daughter of Rome's famed Julio-Claudian dynasty, Julia Agrippina the Younger was born into a life of privilege. She was directly connected by blood and marriage to 5 Roman emperors: Caesar Augustus, her great-grandfather; Tiberius, her great-uncle; Caligula, her brother; Claudius, her uncle; and Nero, her son. She wasn't satisfied with being an appendage and living life on the sidelines, as elite Roman women were expected to do. Harriet Wilson blackmailed her ex-lovers. Harriet Wilson was one of Georgian England's most prolific courtesans and shrewdest writers. Born and bred in London, she began her career at the tender age of 15 when she became mistress to an earl. She quickly became a fixture of London high society, even as she was publicly shunned but privately enjoyed by its leading members. Agnès Sorel, first official royal mistress of France, always exposed one breast. As the first official royal mistress of France from 1444 to 50, Agnès Sorel commanded power and influence in the court of King Charles VII. The brazenness of Charles's affection for Sorel scandalized the French court and earned her many enemies. Similarly, Sorel's fashion choices were as bold and daring as her public affair. She wore her dresses so that one breast was always completely exposed. Eva Perón sought to be the only woman in Juan Perón's life. The iconic, controversial First Lady of Argentina began life in a small town in 1919 as Eva Duarte, an illegitimate daughter with dreams of stardom. She moved to Buenos Aires as a teen and landed several acting and modeling jobs. Though few consider her a great actress, she managed her career well enough to emit the illusion of success. Empress Theodora rose from bear trainer's daughter to Constantinople. Born to an actress and a bear trainer, Theodora began life as far from political power as possible. Much of her early history remains obscure, but historians generally agree she was a courtesan, actress, and Christian ascetic before the age of 20, and was engaged as a mistress to men of power and influence. Cleopatra seduced powerful men to protect her kingdom. Historically, Cleopatra is cast as the ultimate femme fatale, whose influence supposedly ruined a good man's career and resulted in his demise, never mind her own. In reality, Cleopatra was a shrewd politician whose primary objective was to preserve the autonomy of Egypt in the face of Roman aggression and expansion. To that end, she strove to make Roman allies through the only means accessible to a woman of the era. Elizabeth Woodville stood her ground until marriage. Before Anne Boleyn and her chaotic relationship with Henry VIII, there was Elizabeth Woodville, who guarded her virtue so firmly, a lust-struck king insisted on marrying her. Born into a relatively small and unconnected genteel family around 1437, Elizabeth Woodville grew to be a great beauty of her time, who was widowed by the age of 24. In the spring of 1464, newly crowned King Edward IV crossed paths with Woodville and instantly sought to bed her. She insisted that the only way he could engage in relations with her was as her husband. Lola Montez danced her way to the heart of the Bavarian government. The personal and the political collided disastrously in the story of Lola Montez. Born in Ireland in 1821, she spent her childhood in India, England, and Scotland, and eloped at the age of 19. By 1843, she had left her husband and was trying to jumpstart a career as a professional dancer in Europe. Mary Ann Clark mixed business with pleasure. Securing an income as a mistress, married at 15 and separated only a few years later, Mary Ann Clark chose to be a mistress to generate income for her young family. She quickly climbed the ranks of high society in early 19th century London, eventually attracting the attention of Frederick, Duke of York, the second son of King George III and Commander-in-Chief of the British Army. Diane de Poitiers gained prime real estate for her devotion to the king. One of the most beautiful, intelligent, and fashionable women in the 16th century French court, Diane de Poitiers caught the eye of Prince Henry, heir to the throne, and a man 20 years her junior. She grew to be an essential figure in Henry's life and throughout his reign. Gabrielle d'Estrées helped alter France's religious landscape. Gabrielle d'Estrées was a royal mistress with political ambitions. In 1590, the 17-year-old French noblewoman became the mistress of King Henry IV, a Protestant king leading a Catholic-majority country in a climate of religious warfare sweeping Europe. D'Estrées, loyal to her king, was also a loyal Catholic and used her position to convince Henry to renounce Protestantism and return to the Catholic faith. Wallis Simpson seduced a king away from his throne. Wallis Simpson was a glamorous American divorcee who caught the eye of future King of England Edward VIII in 1931. Though Edward was known for his dalliances, he cultivated a reputation as a playboy prince. Everyone assumed his fling with Simpson would be short-lived. Il Duce's beloved Clara Petacci received special protection in fascist Italy. Benito Mussolini, the fascist dictator who led Italy through World War II, was a notorious Lothario, and his rise to political power perhaps only widened his playing field. Though he had a string of mistresses, only one stayed by his side until the bitter end. Madame de Pompadour became an advisor to King Louis XIII. Growing up in a well-off but not noble family, Madame de Pompadour was groomed to be a royal mistress from a young age. She was well educated and made good use of her sharp intelligence. Pompadour first came to the attention of King Louis XV at a masked ball at the Royal Palace of Versailles in 1745. Following this encounter, she quickly became the king's chief mistress. William Randolph Hearst wanted his mistress to be a star. Born Marion Dorcas in 1897, Brooklyn, Marion Davies always harbored dreams of stardom. She got her start in entertainment as a showgirl on Broadway, and by 1917, she was starring in a film she herself had written. She quickly found an audience substantial enough to attract the attention of newspaper tycoon William Randolph Hearst. Aspasia contributed to Athenian culture and politics, even as she was ostracized. Aspasia was a key figure in the cultural and political life of ancient Athens, thanks in no small part to the fact that she was the mistress of Pericles, one of the most powerful and important statesmen in the ancient world. She was born around 470 BC and was an immigrant to Athens. From around 445 BC, Aspasia was Pericles' mistress and an Athenian hetaira, or courtesan.